Hi everyone, this is the last part of Vocabulary and Grammar for Academic Writing, Unit-5 in Writing for Academic and Professional Success. Dears, we were discussing grammar in academic writing. We looked into different elements under this grammar, namely completeness of sentences, fragments, subject-verb agreement, and diversify sentences. So when we write, we have to use complete sentences. We should avoid fragments. We have to follow subject-verb agreement, and we have to use different types of sentences like simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences, and compound complex sentences. Today we look into the fifth element, consistent use of tenses. This means we have to use same tense in our writing to maintain its logical sequence and readability. Students have a tendency of using different tenses in the same paragraph. It's not advisable. We have to use same tense, and we can change tense when the time frame of the subject matter changes. Past tense is more suitable for narrative type of writing, while in analysis, present tense makes more sense. So it is better to use present tense when we write an analysis of something. Could you do this activity? Write a short analysis of a poem you read using present tense consistently. Do one thing, select one poem from Zeitgeist and write an analysis of that poem using present tense. There is one more activity. Write a memorable incident from your life using past tense consistently. The next element is parallelism. What is parallelism? It is a stylistic feature in writing. Parallelism means using grammatically similar or structurally identical words and expressions in our writing. One way to make our sentences parallel is to use same grammatical category of words when we use a list of words. Let's see some examples. Number 1, the video is short, clear, and audible. There is parallelism because all these words, short, clear, and audible, are adjectives. Second example, Faiz loves cricket, football, and reading books. This is non-parallel because these words, cricket and football, are nouns, and the next word, reading books. Reading is not a noun, it's a gerund. We can make this sentence parallel by adding a noun instead of reading books. Like this, Faiz loves cricket, football, and volleyball. Next example, he worked quickly, enthusiastically, and with diligence. This is non-parallel, and parallel construction is he worked quickly, enthusiastically, and diligently, because all these words are adverbs: quickly, enthusiastically, and diligently. Let's do an activity. Correct parallelism related mistakes in the following sentences. Number 1, Hadi enjoys teaching grammar, counseling students, and participate in seminars and conferences. Teaching grammar, counseling students, and participate in. Non-parallel. Teaching grammar, counseling students, and participating in seminars and conferences. So the answer is Hadi enjoys teaching grammar, counseling students, and participating in seminars and conferences. Second one, Suma reads novels, writes poems, and is interested in writing short stories. Non-parallel. Reads novels, writes poems, and the next part is different. Is interested in writing short stories. Can be corrected like this. Suma reads novels and writes poems and short stories. Third one, the state government plans to construct a new airport near Kottayam and setting up a state-of-the-art container terminal near Trivandrum. See the first part, plans to construct, and then setting up. They are non-parallel. This can be revised as the state government plans to construct a new airport near Kottayam and to set up a state-of-the-art container terminal near Trivandrum. The last element is avoid wordiness. What is wordiness? Wordiness means use of more words than the meaning demands. This makes our writing unnecessarily lengthier. Some of these words are called verbal garbage. Words like very, really, and actually do not contribute much in making our statements meaningful. So these words are called verbal garbage. Words like very, really, actually, kind of, etc. Let's see some examples of wordiness and how to correct it. First one, it gives me immense pleasure in introducing our esteemed speaker. It's a wordy sentence, can be corrected like this: I am pleased to introduce our speaker, or I am happy to introduce our speaker. Second example, the campus placement drive was attended by 500 students. 58 students received offer letters. This is a wordy, can be written like this: 58 out of 500 students received offer letters in the campus drive. Some general suggestions to avoid wordiness. Number one, use the language of the discipline. For example, instead of saying a poem of 14 lines consisting of 3 4-line stanzas and a 2-line stanza, we can use a single word, sonnet. This is a word in English literature. Second one, replace stock phrases with one-word equivalent. For example, use the word near instead of using in close proximity. It's a wordy expression. You can use the word no instead of is aware of the fact that. It's a wordy expression. We can use simply because instead of due to the fact that. And third one, avoid redundant expressions like repeat again, final outcome, direct confrontation, and actual facts. Redundant expression means unnecessary repetition. For example, repeat again. No need to say repeat again. Repeat means say again. So just use repeat. Final outcome. No need to say final outcome. Just say outcome. Actual facts. Facts are always actual things. So no need to say actual facts. Just say actual things or factual things. Fourth one, avoid sentence openers like it and there is. If we use such expressions, our sentence tends to be lengthier. Fifth one, avoid unnecessary qualifiers and intensifiers like very, quite, and rather. Qualifiers or intensifiers mean words used to qualify or intensify an adjective or adverb. So avoid these qualifiers, very, quiet, etc. An activity for you. Find out one word equivalent of the following stock expressions in English. Number one, at the present time. What is the one word equivalent of this expression? Now. Second one, be of the opinion that. Think. So instead of saying that, I am of the opinion that, just say I think. Third one, has the capability to. Can. I can. Or he can. For in spite of the fact that. Though. due to the fact that, because, each and everyone, all, first and foremost. Say first. That's enough. Let's do one more activity. Eliminate wordiness in the following sentences. Number 1. I think, in my opinion, study of humanities is very essential for our times. There is repetition. Just use I think. I think study of humanities is very essential for our times. Second one, it goes without saying that many Indians evade tax despite the fact that they long for their country's progress. It goes without saying that. It's a word expression. Just say it is obvious. It is obvious that many Indians evade tax despite the fact that is also a word expression. So the answer is, it is obvious that many Indians evade tax though they long for their country's progress. Third one, Haridharan, who was my former student, passed the civil service examination. My former student Haridharan passed the civil service examination. Fourth one, the reason why he failed in the exam is very obvious. This can be revised as, the reason of his failure in the exam is obvious, or why he failed in the exam is obvious. Avoid very because it is an unnecessary intensifier. Now let us see some questions from the module. Number 1. Write a brief note on the importance of revising a research paper. We discussed this at the beginning of the module. How can you answer this? It is at the editing or revising stage that we remove unnecessary words and expressions and make our sentences clear and effective. So if we submit an assignment without revising it, we may not be able to retrieve it and correct it. Second one, what is AWL? Explain its uses. We explained this earlier. Go back to that slide and listen to the audio. And what are its uses? Now, AWL helps us to understand the nature of words used in academic works. It also enables us to use proper words in proper context. Third one, give examples of word categories to be avoided in academic writing. I think I need not discuss this. You go back to that slide, you will get a list of such words. Fourth one, differentiate between formal and informal discourse markers. Formal discourse markers are used in formal context, like writing a research paper. Informal discourse markers are used in informal contexts, like an informal conversation. For examples, you go back to the slide which contains both examples of formal discourse markers and informal discourse markers. Fifth one is illustrate the use of discourse markers in a paragraph. How to answer this question? For this, you have to write a small paragraph using some of the discourse markers you learned. But remember one thing, use discourse markers sparingly. The excessive use of discourse markers will make your writing clumsy and ineffective. Now let us see one sample passage. Look at this passage. The second part of the conversation is an incomplete sentence, but it serves the purpose of conveying the information. See, this but is an example of discourse marker. This is used to connect one unit to the next unit. And next, however, is a discourse marker. This is used to deviate his idea probably. And there is one unless. This is also used to connect two ideas. So just like this, you have to write one paragraph using some discourse markers that you learned. But remember one thing that I already told you, that you are not supposed to use more discourse markers that will make your writing artificial. Sixth one, differentiate between independent and dependent clauses with examples. We already discussed this. Go back to the slide. You will have definition and examples. Next one, explain the composition of simple, compound and complex sentences with examples. Go back to that slide which contains both the definition of these sentences and the examples of these sentences. Eighth one, give examples for sentence fragments. Here you have to give some incomplete sentences. Look at these examples. After taking dinner and collecting the gift packets. This is not complete, so an example of fragment. Whenever such atrocities take place, the idea is not complete, so a broken sentence or a fragment. As soon as the train reached Chennai Central, not complete, so an example of fragment. Ninth one, explain the basic rules of subject-verb agreement. Here you have to give the definition of subject-verb agreement, that a singular subject takes a singular verb and a plural subject takes a plural verb, and gives more examples using different confusing subjects as like 100 rupees, the committee, bread and butter, and give examples of compound sentences also connected by as well as, either or, etc. 10th one, write a narrative passage using a consistent tense. I gave this activity earlier. You can take any incident from your life and you can narrate it using past tense because it's a narrative passage. But don't forget that you have to use the same tense consistently in the passage. 11th one, write a paragraph on the importance of parallelism in writing with suitable illustrations. To answer this question, you have to explain what is parallelism. Then you write its significance. What is its significance? Using parallel structure in our writing will enhance the readability of our work. Moreover, it helps us to achieve greater clarity and economy in the use of language. For illustrations, you go back to the slide where you get more examples of non-parallel and parallel statements. 12. Give examples for wordy sentences and their revised versions. We already discussed this. Go back to that slide and get more examples of wordy sentences and their revised versions. 13. Explain the ways to eliminate wordiness in writing. Go back to that slide where you get different ways of eliminating wordiness and its examples. 14. Write an essay on the ways to edit and revise words, sentences and paragraphs in academic writing. So this is an essay question where you have to write everything that we discussed in this chapter, beginning from the significance of editing and revising in academic writing. Then you write about the general suggestions on vocabulary use. Then you write what is AWL. Then write the category of words to be used in academic writing and a category of words to be avoided in academic writing. Then write about discourse markers. Then coming to grammar part, you have to write completeness of sentences, fragment, diversify sentences, then subject-to-verb agreement, then avoiding wordiness, parallelism, etc. But remember one thing, in this case you have to explain the term and give examples so that you can include every term in the essay. Let me conclude my session. I think you understood the terms discussed in this chapter. If you have any doubt, please contact me. Thank you.